Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and our weekly look back at the hot comics from 6 months ago. This week we're looking back at the hot comics from September 24th, 2021, and I'm recording this on March 25th, 2022. As always, I give you those dates so you know when this information is actually relevant because the market is always moving and changing. As always, we're also looking back at the CBSI Hot Top 10 and the Comic Tom Key Collector Hottest Trending Comics of the Week. This week we got 19 books to look at to try to see what made them hot, what's happened to them since, so we'll see what we can learn about what books we should chase, what books we should be patient on. And if you've been paying attention lately, it should be patient on all of them. This all through this winter and into the spring now, the books have been dropping consistently. But let's look at these 19 books and see if we can learn anything. First up, we have The Lost Boys, number 1. This is the first appearance of The Lost Boys in comics, and this hit the list because there was rumors of a remake that was going around back in the fall. Caused this book to jump to a $10 to $30 book. Now it's a $5 to $10 book. This one definitely turned into a trap. There's been no more news on this. And most likely, if this does happen, we're probably at least a couple years away. So, next we have Creatures of Id, number 1. This is the first appearance of Madman. There were no rumors around this. Wasn't sure exactly why this hit the list back then. It is a little bit hard to find, so maybe that's what's going on with it, but not super hard to find. But anyway, a 9.0 jumped all the way up to 250. That's what prompted them to put this on the list. Now, raw copies are still going to a $100 to $200 range. 9.0 going for 225. So this one's actually been pretty steady. A bit of an I'll be back, but still not sure what caused it to hit the list or what's causing it to go for this, other than maybe it's a little bit hard to find. Next, we have Blip, number 1. This is the first appearance of Mario and Donkey Kong. This is more of a magazine than truly a comic, but back then, raw copies for this jumped up to $200. A 9.8 hit $2,300 because casting for the Mario animated movie was announced. Now it's a $50 to $200 book on the raw side with a 9.4. Could not find anything higher than a 9.4 that sold recently. Going in the $400 to $500 range. So overall, this is down. Looks like it's down a little bit of an I'll be back. We got that announcement. There was a little bit of backlash to who got cast to play Mario, but and then it's so it's backed up a little bit because there's nobody really talking about it. We're a ways away from getting this movie, so not a surprise there. With that, we're moving into covers. We got 2, 4, 5 covers this week that made the list. First up, we have Siege, number 3. This is a super hard to find J. Scott Campbell variant. Back then, a raw copy of this went for $2,600, which is just a huge number for a raw copy of a comic book. There's been actually no recent sales of this, so can't really judge it too much. I put it as steady and straight cash because this book goes for crazy money when it comes up. Do not be fooled by there is a Lamol convention Mexican variant, basically to Deadpool 10, that uses the same cover. That is not the book that people want. The people want the one that says Siege on the top, not the one that says Deadpool. Next, we have United States of Captain America, number 4, the Peach Momoko 1 in 25. Back then, this book was going for $50 to $60 at release. So about, what I say, just slightly over double, but if it doesn't get to triple, it usually settles somewhere between ratio and double. This one is now a $20 to $40 book. 9.8 on this is cost you $80 to $120. So turned into a bit of a trap. It's more in the $20 to $30 range, only occasionally going above that when it was $50 to $60. So it's about half of what it was back then. Next, we have Radiant Black, number 8. Also a Tyler Kirkham 1 in 25. This one was going for $40 to $50, so it got didn't go even as high as the other one, and it also settled between ratio and double at $25 to $40. It's doing a little better maybe than the Momoko, but not much. This was definitely down and definitely an I'll be back. Our third straight 1 in 25 is Moon Knight number 3, the Rod Reese 1 in 25. This is also the first appearance of Hunter's Moon. There was a new character in this book. This one was going for $40 to $50 back then. Again, didn't even break double ratio. And now it's between ratio and double at 30 to 50. 9.8s on this are going for pretty good money, 160 to 240. I thought as a 1 in 25 this might stay, even though it kind of broke the rules on the 1 in 20. It didn't go, the rules on 1 in 25 said it wouldn't. I should have went with that because it has definitely been a bit of an I'll be back. So next, our last cover is Spawn number 309. This is just a regular cover B, but it's got Gunslinger Spawn on it, so you know Spawn collectors love it. Back then, this regular cover B was going for, on average, $18. A 9.8 hit 150. Now raw copies going for 10 to 30. 9.8 going 60 to 100. So raw copies are actually kind of in that same range on average, probably. The average is sitting probably just under $20. But the 9.8 definitely backed up quite a bit. So we put this as steady because most of the sales are on the raw side, but then I'll be back overall. Next, we have Thor number 364. First full appearance of Thor as a frog. Basically, Kate said something about that he was going to use Throg in his run, so this book, of course, jumped up. Raw copies were going for $55. A 9.8 hit 425. This book has been on and off this list many times. People love to spec on Throg. So far, it's never really amounted to anything, and now books are back down to $10 to $30 on the raw side, with a 9.8 down 175 to 300. So this one definitely turned into a trap if you were chasing this one. Next, we have Kang the Conqueror number 2. This was a reveal of Ravonna Renslayer as a new Moon Knight in a different timeline or something. Not sure exactly, but people were chasing this at $15 to $20. Now it's a $5 to $15 book. Definitely turned into an I'll be back. Not sure where they were going with this one. Kind of an odd character to become Moon Knight. I don't know that storyline actually amounted to much. With that, we're going to move into more movie news. We got some Sony movie news, followed by some... so first up, we have Amazing Spider-Man 361, first appearance of Carnage, because the Venom 2 had come out. So Carnage was really hot then. Raw copies went for 160. We're going for 160 on average. 9.8 going for 850. Now raw copies are still kind of in that range. They're now 75 to 200, and they've really been 1 to 200 now for, I feel like, a couple of years. Raws have been pretty steady on this book. The 9.8s have moved quite a bit more. 9.8s are down to 550 to 600. So this definitely turned into down and an I'll be back. Basically, they're back down kind of where they were at before the movie came out and before any of that buzz. Next, we have Amazing Spider-Man 316, the first full cover appearance of Venom, his third appearance overall. Back then, raw copies were up to 250. A 9.8 hit 1450, which seemed like a ton for this book, and yet I was like, oh, it's Venom, they'll keep going. I was wrong on that. Now raw copies are 50 to 250. 9.8s are back down under 1,000 at 8 to 900. So definitely another I'll be back away from the movie. Book is backed up. Our last Venom-related book is Venom Lethal Protector number 4. First appearance of Scream, plus we got cameos of Agony and Lasher and another one, I think. Back then, this was up to $30 for a raw copy. 9.8 was up to $180. Now it's a $5 to $25 book, with a 9.8 going for $90 to $140. So this one turned into a trap. This one definitely backed up. No real surprise that it backed up after we got away from the Venom movie. Next up, we got a bunch of books related to a Marvel television show, but this is not live action. This was not Disney Plus. This was Hit Monkey on Hulu. The trailer dropped for the Hit Monkey show, and people went nuts for Hit Monkey. The trailer was pretty cool. I even heard the show later got pretty good reviews. So Hit Monkey number 1 from 2010, the one-shot first appearance of Hit Monkey, hit this list. It was going for $125 to $150 for a raw copy of this thing. 9.6 of this hit $450. People were going hard after this book. They were excited about the show. Now a raw copy is going to only cost you $30 to $80. 9.6 is down to $150 to $200. This turned into a dumpster fire. It backed way up. It followed the pattern of all the Marvel shows. Peaks at the trailer, peaks when the show's coming out, and then a crash pretty quickly after, and that is what we've seen here. So yeah, this one definitely backed way up. just like the next book, which is Hit Monkey #1 from 2010. Only this is the first issue of the miniseries, so not his first appearance. So they did a one shot, and then later that same year they started a miniseries for the character. Back then, this one was going for $35 raw with a 9.8 hitting 135. Now it's a $15 to $30 book raw. Just no momentum stayed on this. This is another one that turned into a trap. Even though people like the show, it just wasn't able to maintain an animated show. Plus, just all of these Marvel shows have been doing this so far. This is the pattern of the last year. But we weren't done with Hit Monkey. We were maybe done with that character, but we weren't done with people or characters that showed up in the trailer. Our next book is The Immortal Iron Fist, #8, the first appearance of Fat Cobra, a character that also showed up in the trailer. Back then, raw copies of this jumped to $30 to $60. And I was like, that's just terrible spec. And now it's a $10 to $30 book. There was a 9.8 sale for $180, but it's just the one sale, so it's hard to judge anything on one sale. But this one definitely turned into a trap. So yeah, just nobody was really interested in this character after the show came and went, and not a huge surprise there. And plus, this is just the normal pattern anymore with these Marvel shows. Next, we have Daredevil 111, the first appearance of Lady Bullseye, also in the Hit Monkey trailer. So back then, this A cover was going for $50 raw with a 9.6 hit and 140. Hasn't been any really recent follow-up sales for a 9.6, but raw copies now are 15 to 30. So another book that's turned into a trap. And next, we have another issue of Daredevil 111. This is the Terry Dodson 1 in 10 cover of this first appearance of Lady Bullseye. This one was up to $60 to $100 for a raw copy. 9.8 was all the way up to $425. Again, all based off this Hit Monkey trailer. Now it's a $15 to $70 book with a 9.8 down to $350. Again, just one sale here on this 9.8. So hard to judge there, but definitely turned into a trap on the raw side. Yeah, again, rave reviews for the show. The trailer everybody was hyped, but this has been the pattern on these shows. Is they come, they go, and the books drop. That's just the way it happens. They peak at the trailer, they peak at the show. And then our last book of the week this week is Nebula #1 from 2020, and this is actually her first solo series. She didn't get one until 2020, which is kind of weird, but this hit the list because James Gunn was talking about that Nebula and Gamora were going to be the focus of Guardians 3. So this jumped on the list, $10 to $50, so really wide range here, but yeah, it was going for pretty good money. Now it's a $5 to $20 book, so definitely turned into an I'll Be Back. Interesting enough, I noted back then that her first appearance was going for pretty cheap. It kind of jumped up a little bit also, but I think it's even back up a little bit from the jump. But overall, the pattern this week has been very consistent with what we've seen. We had 15 books drop in value, and we had another week where 15 of the 19, and another week where no books actually climbed in value consistently 6 months later. This has been the pattern all through this winter and now into the spring. We will see how long this lasts, but we are definitely been going through a market adjustment from the craziness of the first half of 2021. That market adjustment has continued here this spring. So we'll see how long it lasts. But right now, yeah, being patient is probably the way to go. Look for your deals. Be patient when you're thinking about these hot books. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time.